Hello, my name is Gurkhan Singh and I will be narrating this documentary about the Transcontinental Railroad, and I will be joined by three historians: railroad historian Allie Hurley, immigrant historian Darren Woods, music historian J.C. Woods, and filmer Zoe Spiros. The first Transcontinental Railroad was built by the Union Pacific Railroad and the Central Pacific Railroad, and it was constructed between 1863 and 1869 and was completed on May 10th of 1869. And now we will hear from the railroad historian, Allie.
The nation's first transcontinental railroad established the nation's economic infrastructure for the future. The stagecoach lines before the Transcontinental Railroad went from Missouri to California, and it took about 28 days to travel. The stagecoaches were slower, more hazardous, and expensive. It carried very few passengers and mail services, and it was along unimproved roads. The railroad transportation was faster, softer, safer, and cheaper. It provided farmers with cheap and quick transportation for crops, minerals, and timber, and it led to rapid settlement in Midwest. The first Transcontinental Railroad was 1,907 miles long. It connected San Francisco Bay to existing rail network at Council Bluffs, Iowa on Missouri River. It opened for traffic May 10, 1869. It invested $100 million in 1860 for R&R. It was one of the most significant and ambitious American technological feats of the 19th century.
Working on this railroad were many Chinese and Irish immigrants. It was very hard work, and many of the laborers died while working on it. Immigrant historian Darren will give you more information about this topic.
Many of the workers of the railroad were Chinese since they built the Great Wall. Chinese workers were willing to do dangerous work, but there were many deaths. The Chinese workers were fast. For example, they were able to lay 10 miles of track in 12 hours. They were paid about $26–$30 a month. And then there were also Irish workers. They were not as discriminated as the Chinese, but they were paid about the same. And some of the Irish people were killed by Native Americans because they believed railroads threatened the existence of their culture and violated U.S. treaties. The work that the immigrants had to do was pretty grueling. It was all entirely by hand. They had to do stuff like rooting out tree stumps, chipping out railroads with pickaxes, hammers, or crowbars. They laid tracks and drove spikes, and they constructed aqueducts and tunnels. About 1,200 Chinese workers died during the winter through events such as avalanches, accidents, and explosions. Chinese immigrants were racial topics and not even given basic rights. There were special taxes on foreign miners. People had to work long hours through severe conditions. Some people had to dangle off of cliffs and buckets to plant explosives to clear track lines and tunnels. And workers wanted better wages, less work hours to 10 hours, shorter shifts in crowded tunnels.
There's 20 Irishmen a-pounding on a rock. The bossman says, shut up, keep still. It comes down heavy on your cast iron grill, and a drill, your Tarriers grill. Grill, your Tarriers grill. For it's worth all day, no sugar in your tea. Down beyond the railway. And drill, your Tarriers grill. A big boss man, he down to the ground. He married a lady about 6 feet round. She bakes his bread, she bakes it well. She bakes it harder than the knobs of hell. And a grill, your Tarriers grill. Grill, your Tarriers A mile in the air went Big Jim Goff. Now drill, you Tarriers, drill. Drill, you Tarriers, drill. For it's worth calling the sugar in your tea down beyond the railway. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. The next payday she comes around, $1 light for Jimmy Brown. Big John, what for? From this reply, you're docked for the hour, you will saucer in the sky. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. Drill, you Tarriers, drill. For it's worth all day, no sugar in your tea, down beyond the railway. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. The Tarriers live on work and sweat. There ain't no Tarrier got rich yet. You sleep and work some bar, and drill right down to the devil's door. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. Drill, you Tarriers, drill. For it's worth all day, no sugar in your tea, down beyond the railway. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. Well, there I stand, hand in hand, with two trains kissing in the Utah sand. There's no one now who knows my name, an Irish derby is the claim to fame. So drill, you Tarriers, drill. Drill, you Tarriers, drill. For it's worth all day, no sugar in your tea, down beyond the railway. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. Drill, you Tarriers, drill. For it's worth all day, no sugar in your tea, down beyond the railway. And drill, you Tarriers, drill. And blast, and fire, and sweat, and blood, and thrill.
The song Drill Ye Tarriers Drill is an Irish perspective of the working conditions while building the Transcontinental Railroad. It's a folk song published in 1888, and in the song, Tarriers refers to Irish workers who drilled holes in rocks to blast out railroad tunnels.
Drill Ye Tarriers Drill is an American folk song published in 1888 by Thomas Casey and Charles Connolly. This song was used as a work song and made references to the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad during the mid-1800s. The Tarriers referred to in the song are the Irish immigrants that worked on the railroad. The drilling in the song refers to when rocks or larger debris would get in the way of railroad tracks being laid down, and these workers would have to drill a hole in the rock in order to blow it up. This process was very dangerous, as the workers would have to drill a hole, pack black powder into that hole, let it fuse, and get away as fast as they could before the fuse went off. Hundreds were killed or injured in this process, as the song illustrates with the story of Jim Goff. A lyric in the song tells you that a mile in the high went Big Jim Goff, meaning that he did not get away from the fuse in time. Also, some of the lyrics in the song illustrate the horrible conditions. It's all work all day for the sugar in your tea means that workers will be paid barely enough to have necessities. The lyrics about the boss, Jim McCann, show just how strict the rules were and how harsh the bosses were. The song Drill Ye Tarriers Drill definitely shows the hardships that railroad workers experienced during the time of the construction of the Transcontinental.
Special thanks to our three historians on their very interesting information on the Transcontinental Railroad, and special thanks to the filmmakers led by Zoe. Thank you and have a good day.